And I'm joined by Hank Goldberg in Florida, and we're going to talk some Breeders' Cup. We're going to talk some NFL trades. We're just going to talk about sports, and we'll be on here for about another 15 to 20 minutes. And Hank, good morning.
Morning, Jim. Interesting couple of days.
Oh, yeah. I'd like to, I want to send out prayers and condolences to the people in New York after the tragic incident there yesterday. It happens way too often these days around the world and in America. And, I hope those people that are injured recover quickly, and the sadness that'll be there will be there a while for the people that are lost. But we move on to horse racing and sports, and the Breeders' Cup is coming up this weekend. Hank, you've been doing amazing on your horses and your sports, and I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about what you got going on.
Well, there's a lot of races. Friday there's 4, and Saturday there's 9 or 10, and I lost count. The big race is going to be the Classic, where you've got Gun Runner and Arrogant, and I'm looking to beat both of them. And there's a drop-off between the 4 or 5 horses and the rest of the field. But there's a lot of speed in the race. You got to find somebody who's going to come off the pace, and that's what I've been looking to do in that race. The turf races could be dominated by some of the European entries. And so I've been doing a lot of work to find out who the best of those are. And the juvenile races are interesting, and because that will give you a clue as to what's going to happen next year, although most of them who train up to this race don't make it to next year. But that's the horse racing business. So, but it's going to be an exciting day. I watched the draw. What TVG ran of it. Best part of it was Bo Derek making the helping out with the draw. She looks great. She's 60 years old and she's still a 10.
She'll always be a 10.
But it's all the races are fairly competitive. There's one race in particular. Where John Lindo has a horse that he claimed for about $16,000, who has made it to the Breeders' Cup, and Lindo's a great handicapper, and it's going to be interesting to see if the horse can perform. But that's one of the. I'm trying to remember what race it was that he's in. And he's got the, I think, number 12 horse in one of the earlier races on the card. But he's got a strong favorite, but he's the second choice, I think. And but he likes that racetrack, and I don't remember what horse. I think it's the Filly and Mare Sprint, and look for number 12 in that race.
Well, we had a World Series game last night, Game 6, which was classic matchup. It's been an unbelievable World Series, and the Dodgers came back after being down 3-2. They had Hill against Verlander, and quite frankly, I thought Verlander would stump them, and he did to mostly. I mean, he gave up a couple runs, yes, but the combination of the Hill and the bullpen shut down Houston. Houston put a lot of people on base, but they had, just in 2 innings, they left 6 on base, which is not a good formula for winning.
Well, what happened is, he gave up 2 runs, and he was the second man up in the next inning. And so they pinch hit for him because they had to manufacture some runs in the game. Because at that point in the game, the Dodgers were into the bullpen, and the bullpen was pitching pretty well. and they had to take him out basically because they didn't want him to hit. They wanted to put in there They wanted to put somebody in there who might be able to help them manufacture runs. That's the strategy. And you know something, these World Series games, tonight's game might look like an all-star game to you. You have the way the pitchers are going to come in and out. The Dodgers are going to, start a guy who got shelled in the second inning, who's a nervous type, and we'll see how long he lasts. And, when do they go to Kershaw? He'd probably be the third man in. But, everybody's going to get a shot tonight. That's the way these World Series games go. They kept showing Sandy Koufax, and I kept yearning for the days when a guy like Koufax could go the route.
Well, the starters in modern baseball today, they're not really even given a chance to go the route. Back in 1965 or 67, I don't remember when it was, but Koufax pitched a two-hitter, complete game, wins the game, and 2 days later it comes back and pitches a three-hitter, and goes the distance and wins the game.
He beat Jim Cott, who pitched for Minnesota against him that year. And Jim Cott, who should be in the Hall of Fame, was a heck of a pitcher.
Yeah, he was. It's different today, obviously. But anyway, we've got one more game. It's tonight. I'm sure the ratings will be very high for that game. And of course, we got football coming up. We got today's Wednesday. We get game tomorrow. College games each day. Football is fast and furious. We've got the NBA going on, and college basketball starts next week. So that's one of my favorite sports, college hoops.
Yeah, I love college basketball, and I'll enjoy that. But so I want to talk a little bit about the trades that were made yesterday, and that is, New England. Garoppolo goes to San Francisco, and here's a case where they knew that he was going to be gone at the end of this year. He wasn't going to stay there because Brady looks like he's going to play another couple of years, and he's going to want to get out. His contract was going to be up. So they had a lot of time to work a deal for him if they knew that he was not going to stay. He was not going to accept any kind of a deal there to stay on beyond this year. Well, couldn't they have done better than to get, one draft pick for him in the second round? I know everybody is saying, well, it's going to be like a first-round pick because it's going to come from San Francisco, who's going to have, a high pick in the second round. But, they don't have a quarterback right now. I guess they're going to sign Hoyer. But they don't. Right now, they're without a backup. If you got a 40-year-old guy who could, drop at any time. And I don't know if Hoyer's the answer there. I think for an organization, and now what they're saying is that Belichick didn't want to do this deal. It was Kraft who wanted to do it because Kraft treats Brady like a son, and he wants to keep him around for a few more years. And Belichick wasn't all in favor of this thing. But that's one. The other one was the Dolphins. And the Ajayi a year ago was a top running back. His offensive line is poor. They don't open holes for him now. And yet, I guess they're saying that he wasn't picking up his blocking assignments. And so they're making an example of him and shipping him off to Philadelphia. And all they got for him was a fourth-round pick. And Mike Tannenbaum is talking about the guys who are coming back from injury reserve next month, and it's going to turn this team around, and they're not giving up on the season. But they don't have a running back right now who can measure up to what Ajayi did. And so, I think the Dolphins are a mess. Tannenbaum ruined the Jets and now he's in the process of ruining the Dolphins too. And Gase, he's supposed to be a good coach. Deion Sanders on the NFL Network said that the Dolphins aren't picking up the playbook. They're not studying it, and they're not prepared to play games. Well, whose fault is that? You can't make examples out of the players for not studying. Your coach, and by the way, what Deion said is, who makes up the playbook if it's too complicated, and who's calling the plays? It's Adam Gase. Did the Dolphins make another mistake?
Well, they do make a lot of mistakes, and it's kind of an organization that's not quite as bad as Cleveland, but maybe that's a deal that we should talk about a little bit. They wanted A.J. McCarron, and they never turned in the paperwork on time to do it.
And by the way, look at what they were going to get for what they were going to give up for McCarron. A lot more than what the Patriots were going to, what the Patriots got.
Yeah,
although the deal didn't come off.
Right. Now, how about the Carolina Panthers shipping off Benjamin?
Well, kind of destroys the theory of one guy who's on network television who says that the reason that they keep Benjamin around was because he's tall enough and that Cam is not that accurate, so he needs long, tall receivers. Apparently, Carolina didn't agree with that expert, whose initials are Colin Coward. But anyway, Benjamin has been erratic. He gets open, he drops a lot of passes, and so Carolina gave up on him, basically. And the other thing is they're getting their top draft pick back off the injured list, who I think they believe is going to be an improvement in that area. So I guess they got something for him, and they made the deal. Now he's going to go to Buffalo. We'll see what he does there. I think he's overrated.
Bob, speaking of Buffalo, I mean, this is a team that's starting to look very real, and I think people have to take them a little seriously. They're playing well.
Well, they have a very good defense. Their offensive line is playing well. McCoy is the top running back. I mean, you got to look at McCoy as a candidate for MVP. He's playing as well as any back in the league, and he's kind of carrying this team. And it's because of his presence that the quarterback is getting by. So, but apparently they're trying to give the quarterback another weapon. That's why they made that deal. And, Buffalo is being managed very well right now. And they love that coach. And the coach doesn't take any garbage. He really has cracked the whip there, and they've responded.
Yes, he has.
I want to give you one tip on the Rams, who are playing the Giants. The Rams have won in 4 different time zones, so don't worry about the clock.
Yeah, the west to east has been talked about a lot, but it doesn't always work. For years, people have bet against that, but it did work a little bit, and it's still there is a situation where a team travels too much. It does fatigue them. There's no question.
Well, the Rams are well rested. They're coming off a bye.
That helps.
So it shouldn't bother them this week.
That does help. Oakland played last week at Buffalo, and now they're at Miami. So there's 2 East Coast issues there. I'm not sure. I don't know if they traveled back to Oakland or not, or they just stayed on the East Coast.
They stayed on the East Coast. So I think they were in North Florida early in the week.
So
they're not good right now, and Carr apparently I think is still bothered by back problems. He couldn't throw the ball downfield against Buffalo. He kept checking down, and towards the end of the game, he was even inaccurate with those passes. So, the week before, he completed 11 passes to his top receiver for almost 200 yards, and he never went to him in the game against Buffalo. So something's not right there, and the play selection is under fire, and they're lucky they haven't lost 6 games in a row. but they're not right. And you got two pretty bad teams going at it on Sunday night. I'm sure the NBC guys are really excited about that matchup.
I'm sure. Houston and Seattle put on a great show last week, but one thing that we really don't point out enough is the injuries that Houston suffered to their defense. They are definitely not the defensive juggernaut that everybody expected them to be. I mean, they lost a couple of players.
Correct.
They lost a few players and on the defensive side, and they definitely do give up a lot of points. Everybody talks about their offense scoring a lot of points, and they do, and they look tremendous, but their defense has really gone downhill because of the three big injuries they've had on defense.
Well, they're averaging about 39 points a game now, and they've been doing it against teams like New England and Seattle. So now they got Kansas City coming in there, and Kansas City's got some issues on defense as well, and their quarterback is not all that sharp lately. But maybe he'll wake up a little bit. Delsey has been playing great at tight end for Kansas City. That could give Houston some problems. So
Well,
there could be a lot of scoring in that game.
Actually, Hank, Kansas City's at Dallas and Indianapolis is at Houston.
Oh, that's right. Indianapolis is at Houston. My bad. Yeah, never mind. Indianapolis is going to get crushed. They have no defense at all.
Now, you talk about Indianapolis has Brissett at quarterback, and that was a New England cast-off. Yeah, actually, that guy actually looks pretty decent. He doesn't have much help on that team. Their offensive line is pathetic. I think their coaching is pathetic. But he does look like a talent. He's a big man, and he has, I think he has a lot of potential as one of the young quarterbacks that are emerging in the league. And barring injury, I think he has a good future. Kansas City is...
Well, Houston probably could score 50 points against Indianapolis. I mean, they have no defense at all.
Well, neither one of these teams have much defense going on right now. But so that looks like a high-scoring game. Kansas City, you mentioned Kansas City. I mean, they are playing well, but they're not playing as well as they did the first few games when everybody was saying they were. But Dallas now is without Ezekiel Elliott, and that's a big loss. I mean, he's one of the, if not the top running back in the league. He's close to it.
They've got two decent running backs behind him. And one of the things, Kansas City has been having difficulty defending the run, and they're really hurting in the secondary because they missed Berry back there. And so, Dallas might be able to score a lot of points against them throwing the ball. But I just don't like the way Smith played last week. He's got to perk up. He got a little bit wild, and he hasn't been too consistent. So they've been pretty fortunate. They lost a couple of games coming into last weekend, and they did their best to give it up, but they had just enough. They looked like a horse that had a big lead and just hung on to win, and it was good enough. But hey, Dallas. One of the things in talking to the Dallas people last week was that they're more confident on the road than they are at home. They can't figure out why they play so poorly at home, and they've been a bad investment as a home favorite.
Yeah, I'm looking at the current line right now. I mean, Dallas was a 1-point favorite, but now in a lot of places, actually most places, they're a 1-point underdog. Well,
that's a tough game for me. I just don't know what Alex Smith is going to show up. I do know that Dallas' quarterback is playing pretty well right now, and if they want to run the ball, they've got two decent backs who are going to play for them this week. If they don't have Zeke, their offensive line is coming around, and they're playing better ball than they were earlier in the season. So I may be riding Dallas. I haven't decided yet.
I imagine Brock Osweiler is going to start for Denver, and
Yeah.
they visit Philadelphia, and I'm thinking that I'm not sure, is Garoppolo going to start for San Francisco this week?
I don't think so. I think he's got to, learn the playbook and get timed up. He hasn't worked very much with their receivers. I don't see them throwing him right in there out of the box like that. Although they haven't said, but I would think he could. It'd probably be the next game that they'd get him in there. He's pretty excited about being there, though.
Yeah,
interesting to see how they do.
He couldn't wait to get on the plane to get to San Francisco, and I don't blame him. It's a start of a new career. He's only
San Francisco has a winnable game though this week.
Yeah, they do. I mean, Arizona's backup quarterback. They're beat up. Their offensive line's terrible. Their defense has been terrible. This is a team that's fallen on hard times. This is what happens when you get injuries, and Mother Nature, old Father Time catches up with you all at the same time. So there's a lot going on in sports, and the one thing I want to impress is that Hank's plays, my plays, are all available at jimfeist.com. We're talking Breeders' Cup this week, and Hank has been red hot. He had the Belmont last week. He had 4 big races last week. He hit all 4 races. He hit the exactas in all those races. He hit the pick 3s and the pick 4s. And if you don't get Hank's Breeders' Cup plays this week, you might as well just burn your money.
Yeah. Hopefully we can keep it going. I like the card very much. There's some very playable races. So and I've got some long shots I like. So you'll want to hop aboard.
All right, Hank, thank you very much, and we'll talk again on Friday.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Okay, buddy.